Sound check. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. I'm going to go ahead and get the recording started, and we're going to get started. Once again, I'm live on my personal Facebook group page, as well as in the Impasse Awakening Facebook group. Thank you all so much for being here. Welcome to Wisdom Wednesday with Sara Mae. I am your host and your guide, Sara Mae. I am an energy healer, a life coach, and the founder and instructor of Impasse Awakening Academy. I am so excited to have you here with me today. Whether this is your first time or your 100th time, I know that you are here exactly when you are supposed to be, and you are here for a reason. You are here because you are ready to hear the information that I'm sharing today. You need it for yourself or someone else. Thank you so much for listening to that Soul's Whisper and showing up here today. If you know anybody who you feel could benefit from this session or any session of Wisdom Wednesday, please lead them to the Impasse Awakening Facebook group or the Healing with Sara Mae YouTube channel. Next month, we are going to be starting Self-Love Summer again. It's one of the most exciting times of the year for me, where we really get to focus on getting to know ourselves and getting to love ourselves. It's really an amazing time. And a big part of getting to know and getting to love yourself is doing shadow work. Shadow work is something that is often talked about, but there's a lot of us who talk about it but don't really know exactly how to do it. So today we are going to talk about the very first step of shadow work, and that is spotting your shadow self. If you have been in the healing community for a while, if you've been working on this, but you're not quite exactly sure on the shadow work, throw up some hearts and let people know that they're not alone in this. I love these 3 different shadow pictures that I found today, because I really feel like it's how we begin with shadow work, right? We go from a point where our shadow is something that is causing us to feel ashamed about ourselves, and something that we want to hide, and something that makes us feel shameful, to something that we notice, to something that we become curious about. And when you learn to notice it and become curious, that's when you can start to really integrate and accept those parts of yourself, and move on towards that authentic self that we desire to be. So let's go ahead and get started by talking about what is the shadow, right? We can't do shadow work at all if we don't know what the shadow is, or where it came from. This is a picture of Carl Jung. Carl Jung is the father of shadow work. The concept of shadow work was first developed by Carl Jung. Jung believed that exploring the shadow was essential for personal growth and individuation, the process of becoming one's authentic self. The shadow refers to the unconscious parts of our psyche that contain our repressed thoughts, feelings, and impulses. It is the part of ourselves that we reject, that we hide from others, and often from ourselves. However, these repressed aspects of ourselves can still influence our behaviors and our emotional states. Basically, you are who you are. Sometimes we find parts of ourselves and we don't want to show those to the world. Maybe we were made to feel ashamed of them. Maybe we were shown that they were bad. Maybe we were scared that we were going to be judged. As children, we think that other people are dependent. We are dependent on others for our survival, and we are. We really are dependent as children on others for our survival. So when we view rejection as potential death, if we get rejected, we won't be taken care of by the tribe. So the tribe needs to accept us. We have these basic instincts to be accepted and not to be rejected. So what we will do is, if we see a part of ourselves that we feel is not going to be accepted by the tribe, we hide that. We hide it. We hide it from them. We hide it from ourselves. We hide it from everybody. But these parts of ourselves, you are who you are. They're still in you. So they still influence who you are, and they still influence your day to day. And when we have these parts of us hidden, then it can be very hurtful, and it stops us from accessing our authentic self. This is where shadow work comes in. Shadow work involves exploring these unconscious aspects of ourselves in a safe and controlled environment. This can include journaling, meditation, therapy, or working with a spiritual teacher or guide. The goal of shadow work is to bring the unconscious into the conscious and to integrate it into our lives. By doing this, we can gain a greater understanding of our motivations, our reactions, and our behaviors, and make changes to live our most authentic lives. We all have multiple parts of ourselves, and if we don't embrace the entirety of our being, we wouldn't be able to live a whole and authentic life. The process of integrating the shadow leads to self-acceptance, forgiveness, and unconditional love, right? And that's what we're all about, is really living that life that is filled with unconditional happiness, that is based in unconditional love, right? Lasting happiness and unconditional love. That is what we are going for as a group here. And shadow work is what is absolutely necessary to get you there. So now we know what it is. We know what the shadow is. We know what shadow work is. How do you get it done? Like I said in the beginning, the first step is to recognize this shadow self. This is a part of ourself that has been tucked away for a very long time. So we've hidden it. We've hidden it from others, and we've hidden it from ourselves. So the question is, how do you find what you have hidden for decades so you can pull it out, look at it, and learn to love and accept it? Make it a part of you that you love and accept, so you can move forward in your life as your authentic self, right? So that's what we're going to talk about today. Is 5 different ways to spot your shadow self so you can start moving towards your authentic self and loving every aspect of yourself. It is 1:11. Make a wish, y'all. So the first way that you can start to spot your shadow self is by starting to notice your triggers. Your triggers are your guides, you guys. Your triggers are your guides. How do you know when you've been triggered? It's when you have a bigger response to a situation, especially an emotional response, than the situation warrants. It's when a little tiny situation happens, but inside you, it creates a huge emotional response. Why is this happening, right? Triggers are emotional responses that are often intense and are often disproportionate to the situation at hand. They are indicators that a part of you, often that shadow aspect, feels threatened or hurt. When you are triggered, it can feel as if you're reacting automatically, like you have no control over yourself without conscious choice in what you're doing. These triggers are valuable clues. When these come up, I encourage you to lean into them and be grateful, because they are powerful clues. They are powerful indicators that are pointing you to underlining unresolved issues or shadows within yourself. To spot your triggers, you're going to want to take a step back and objectively look at situations that cause you to react intensely. Is there a common theme? Is there a common factor? It could be a word, an action, a type of person, or even a place that repeatedly causes emotional upheaval in you. When you find yourself triggered, take some time to focus on what is upsetting me about this. What does this remind me of? What is this feeling? And what is the first time that pops into my head when I try to recall the first time I felt this feeling? Take some time and observe, because these are really going to show you where your shadows are at, the things that trigger you. When you see the part of you that you hide deep inside, out on display by something else, your shadow self freaks out, just starts jumping up and down. Look at me, look at me. Why are you looking at them? Look at them. They're out there doing that. I'm not out there doing that. I am requesting that, and they should, right? That's what your shadow self says. How dare they be outside when I'm hidden away, right? So when something inside you starts jumping up and down, that's a good time to look for, what are you hiding away? What are you hiding away? And what can you do to accept, love, and integrate that? Number 2, noticing your patterns. Patterns show us so much in life. Patterns are repetitive behaviors that may not serve you, but you seem to be unable to break free from. They often manifest in our relationships, in our choices, our reactions, or our habits. These patterns can be a sign of a shadow self that's trying to make its presence felt. Recognizing these patterns involves self-reflection. Consider the common threads in your past experiences, in your past relationships, and the reactions that you had. Are you repeatedly drawn to the same similar types of relationships or situations only to experience the same outcome? Do you find yourself caught in that ego loop of doing the same thing over and over again in a different place? Do you often react in the same way, even when you wish you didn't react that way anymore? These things are repetitive patterns that might indicate areas where shadow work can be beneficial. So take a minute and sit back and think, what is it that I always do? What is my common theme with my friends? My common themes with my lovers? My kind of common themes with my boss or my employer, right? Often we get our home life really safe and situated and under control, but we still have that shadow aspect of ourselves that still needs attention, and it's not going to come to life in our home life, but it'll come to life at work because it's still there and it still needs to be pay attention. So pay attention to your patterns. What happens over and over again? What do you think always happens to you? What always happens to you, right? And what shadow aspect of yourself does that represent? Next, pay attention to projections. What we project our shadow onto other people. Other people are just a mirror for us, right? So I want you to pay attention to your projections. What is it that drives you nuts about other people? What are you judging other people for? Projections are aspects of ourselves that we unconsciously place onto others. These can be qualities that we admire or qualities that we detest. When we have a strong emotional reaction to someone else's behavior or quality, it often signifies a disowned part of ourselves, a shadow aspect. To understand your projections, you want to consider the characteristics in others that you find extremely irritating, or that you really, really admire. This can go either way. Then ask yourself if these traits could be part of yourself that you have disowned or idealized, right? Do you see something in other people that really, really lights you up and gets you excited? Maybe that is a part of you that you're wanting to explore. Maybe that's a part of you that you don't allow yourself to access, right? Maybe when you were younger, you were told that artists don't make any money and you need to be a doctor. So now you really, really love art and it really lights your soul up in a powerful, powerful way because your soul wants to do art, right? Or maybe you look at artists and you think, oh my gosh, I can't believe they're wasting their life with such a useless profession because of what you were told. Those are two ways that you can project a love of art onto others, a suppressed love of art, right? So pay attention to your projections. What are you judging others for? What do you admire them for? What do you think they're so brave for saying out loud? Is that something you need to say out loud too? Number 4, explore your past. Explore your past, and especially your childhood. There is so much that is programmed into us in the first 7 years of life, a period of time that most people don't have very little recollection of. But there is so much that gets into us during this period of life. Reflecting on your childhood, looking at your family dynamics, looking at significant life events in your life. Identify any unresolved issues, traumas, or unmet needs that might have contributed to the development of your shadows. Exploring these experiences with compassion and curiosity can lead to profound healing and integration. Now, I mentioned something here that I haven't mentioned yet, and that's unmet needs. Unmet needs. When we have needs that are unmet as a child, we often tell ourselves that we don't actually need that thing, even though we really do, right? And I mean, this can be like if you have food issues with a child, telling yourself that you don't really need to eat, you don't even really like food anyways, and denying yourself liking food and enjoying food because you were denied that pleasure as a child, or telling yourself that you don't need help from anybody because you didn't get that help as a child. Does that make sense? There are so many things that we don't receive as children, and then we just tell ourselves we don't need it, but we really do need that. We actually do need that. It is a need we have. We do need to eat. We do need to be loved. We do need to express ourselves creatively and artistically, right? If someone shut us down and we shut that part of ourselves away, it's still there. So look in the past, look for where you were shut down, look for where your needs weren't met, look for experiences that you haven't gone into that might have affected you. This is where you're going to find these shadow aspects of yourself. And last but certainly not least, pay attention to your dreams. And this will become even more prevalent as you start to consciously do shadow work. And that is because you are so smart and your subconscious is so amazing that it will constantly work on issues for you. Once you start thinking about something, your subconscious wants to find the answer. When you ask a question, your subconscious starts looking for it. So in the beginning, there's a trigger and you look at the trigger and you go, wow, every time I see a red schoolhouse, I get super, super upset. I wonder what that's about. You just allow yourself to be curious. Maybe you're not going to remember, but just in that moment. But asking that question gets your subconscious started on the issue, and your subconscious is going to be determined to find an answer. Often that answer is found through dreams. Your dreams are a rich source of symbolism, and they are an unconscious vault to what is within you. Try recalling and recording your dreams upon waking up. The way that I like to do this is by keeping a journal right by my bed with a pen and a paper. I wake up, I write down anything I remember right away. And yes, right away before you do anything because it fades away. The tiniest bit of information is valuable because the more you do this, it's like a muscle that you train, the more you'll remember. So maybe the first day you remember the color blue or the feeling sad or feeling like you got pulled away or feeling like you lost something, anything that you remember is valuable information. And the more you write this down, you're going to be able to see patterns. You're going to be able to start to notice that there are symbols and emotions and themes present in your dreams. These symbols, these dream symbols, can provide valuable insights into your shadows, into your fears, into your desires, and into the unexpressed parts of yourself. Those questions that you ask when you're awake, those questions when you asked, when you found the triggers, when you were looking at your progressions, those answers will often come in your dreams. So paying attention to your dreams can be a really wonderful way to do that shadow work and figure out what's going on with yourself. I'm checking out comments. Comments are all over the place because we're on my page, we're on my personal page, we're in the Impasse Awakening Facebook group. It's happening. Let me check. I was just observing my shadow a few days ago, and I thought I saw two shadows. Definitely wanting to become more conscious of my shadow. Oh, that is a beautiful, beautiful contribution. Thank you so much. Do you have more than one shadow self? Absolutely. Absolutely. You have so many shadows. There are so many parts of you that you could have put away. So yeah, you might see one, you might see two, you might see 10, right? The goal is to find as many of them as we can, accept them, love them as part of ourselves so we can be our most authentic selves, so we can live our most authentic lives and serve our purpose, do what we came here to do, right? So here's all 5 of them together really quick: recognizing your triggers, noticing your patterns, paying attention to your projections, exploring your past, especially your childhood, and paying attention to your dreams. If you're live, let me know which one of these you're going to be focusing on. I highly suggest you have all of them in your mind and kind of look all over the place when you're doing this work. You can also do them like in accordance with each other. You recognize a trigger, so you look at it. Oh, is there a pattern? Is this trigger part of a pattern? Am I projecting something onto this other person? What am I projecting here that I got triggered? What in my past might have caused me to be upset about this? What in my past could have caused this to become a trigger? And if the answers aren't coming, pay attention to your dreams. See how those all lead into each other? Yeah, I see some hearts going up. So I think you guys are with me on it. So thank you so very much. So these are my suggestions to get started. And then once you have that aspect of yourself, you can start to do that work, do the journaling, do the meditation, do the integration work, do the acceptance work, or maybe just allow it. Maybe you notice, hey, I love art, and just let yourself be an artist. Maybe you realize, oh my God, I'm actually a lesbian, and you just let yourself do that. Maybe you realize, no, I don't want to be a doctor. I want to be a dancer. And you just allow yourself to do that. Sometimes that's all integration is that you realize it, you see it, you're like, hey, you get out of the shadows and get over here. We're going to move through life arm in arm with one another. Sometimes it's just that easy. And as you do this work more and more, it does become that easy. I'm going to do all of them. Yes, I'm going to do all of them too. And I love that answer. Yes, we want to do all of these all the time. That is our episode of Wisdom Wednesday for today. I hope that you found some valuable information in this. I really appreciate you for being here, and I appreciate you for doing this amazing work. And you might be asking yourself, Sarah, how do you know that I'm doing this work? And I will tell you, the way I know is that 20 minutes in, 28 minutes in, you are here watching this video, you are at the end of this video. The fact that you got to the end of this video, the fact that you spent the last 28 minutes learning what your shadow is and how you can recognize it, what a trigger is, what a projection is, and integrating that information into your head means that it's only a matter of time before it gets to your heart. You're doing the hard work to clear your trauma, to bring your most authentic self in, and to raise your vibration. And when you raise your vibration, you don't only raise your own vibration, you raise the vibration of everybody around you, and you raise the vibration of the collective as a whole. It is my opinion that this is the most sacred work that anyone can do. So I would love to thank you so much for doing your part to spread the light. And with that said, the light in me bows to the light in you. And so I say, namaste. Thank you so much for being here. I love you all, and I will see you next time.